Hello, and welcome to the Quantum Fit Podcast. I'm Taylor, and I am your host. This podcast is all about applying the different principles of quantum physics and quantum biology to your health and fitness. This gives us a holistic view of how different environmental factors, such as sunlight or cold, play a major role in your overall health. So I won't just be talking about diet or exercise and developing good habits. If you want to really make lasting changes in how you feel, think, and act, then I'd recommend you try to listen closely and have an open mind to what I have to say. Every day I'll be hitting you with a quick 7 to 15 minute long podcast. I keep it short like this because it makes it both informative and to the point so that you don't feel quite so overwhelmed with information. Also, currently I do not do any kind of advertisements. So instead, I ask that you share this podcast with a friend or family member if you enjoyed the message and gained something from it. I want to be able to spread quality and easy to understand content that everyone can take and use in their own daily lives. I would highly appreciate it. On to today's episode. Quantum benefits are non-linear. Today's episode is similar to the past couple of episodes where I'm going to compare quantum views on health versus the typical biochemical views. This episode should also help you understand why your environment trumps what you eat or supplement with in, 99.99% of cases. All right, so the main idea that you need to understand is that very small quantum changes result in exponential benefits, whereas biochemistry-focused changes provide linear benefits at best. So once again, exponential just means it's going to be, very, very large, massive results. From very, very small input, you're being extremely effective. Whereas a linear benefit means, you get a benefit that's equal in proportion to how much of something you're doing, how much you're taking, or, something like that. So, again, biochemistry-focused changes are generally going to be less than linear. I would argue almost every single scenario they're going to be less than linear. Anyway, so, and I'm not sure which episode it was, but I had talked about the respiratory proteins of the mitochondria and how the closer together they get, the more efficient they are. I also mentioned that even the tiniest change in distance can have dramatic effects and turn barely functioning mitochondria into true powerhouses. Of course, the best and only ways to do this all involve the environment. Getting sunlight, cold exposure, minimizing your exposure to harmful EMF, sleeping in a strong negative magnetic field, grounding often. Those are all of the best examples of things that will shrink the distance between those proteins. And again, you'll get that exponential increase in benefits. Unfortunately for the drug and pharmaceutical companies' pockets, there are zero biochemicals capable of doing this. There is no food you can eat, no pill you can take that will shrink the distance between the respiratory proteins. They've tried for decades to try and, basically get that output. Because of that, nothing will come even close to helping your energy output like connecting with nature will. So that's kind of the first part of this episode. So now that we have this basic foundation of, the fact that quantum factors matter so much more, let's see what this will look like in real life. In case you didn't know, all of your mitochondria are inherited from mom. The way I understand it is that this is done so that there will be zero errors in copying mitochondrial DNA, since just one error in copying would lead to exponential problems with energy production. The growing fetus wouldn't survive. So nature dealt with this by making it so you just get your mitochondria from mom, so you don't get anything from dad as far as mitochondria goes. Good to know. So, depending on the health of your mom's mitochondria, this means you can start with or without the quantum scaling benefits I talked about before. So, one example I like to talk about is notice how children born from older women tend to have more issues. It's directly tied to mitochondria. I mean, of course, that's not always the case. Mom could have gotten healthier over time. That's always a possibility, but that's definitely not common. That's not what usually happens. Also, this is why kids can get these, absolutely horrible diseases nowadays, and why modern medicine can't do a damn thing for them. They're trying to use biochemistry to heal quantum problems with their mitochondria. It doesn't work. You can't do that. Again, quantum problems take quantum solutions to fix them. Another interesting example is vegans. It's fairly complicated, so I'll dive into it on another episode, but basically, vegans not only lack getting enough specific nutrients that are needed by humans because of our massive brains. This is even including if they supplement to high hell. It doesn't matter. They don't get enough of the nutrients that we need. Or they don't get the nutrients as they should be, where they're programmed by light, because there's a difference. And, the other issue with vegans is they're eating food that is high in deuterium and reduces the amount of easy water in their cells. And, well, if you've listened to some of my recent podcasts on easy water, that's a really big deal. So don't be vegan. Anyways, vegan can live long lives and stay healthy in certain cases. I mean, we see it all the time, like Instagram or whatever. There's all kinds of vegans that are preaching, oh my God, I'm so healthy. That's because they're born with really, really good mitochondria, and they pretty much, all the ones that say they're super healthy, they spend crazy amounts of time in the sun, and they're, generally closer to the equator than not. And they do other quantum things because, either they'll have the money for it or whatever, whether it's the cold exposure or dealing with EMF, whatever. It has nothing at all to do with their diet. For instance, try comparing them to vegans further away from the equator where winter is present for 4 months or more. I'll tell you, I've seen these types of people in Minnesota where I live. These people do not look healthy, and they have many health complaints. Going in a little bit of a different direction, but still seeing how light has this massive, massive impact compared to biochemistry, is how light affects our gut. So one study was done on Africans living very near the equator, and they're looking to see what would happen to their stomach bacteria if they, just ate horribly, if they drank pop and ate processed food every day. And I don't know the full details on the study. I know it was done by a man who's big in the paleo community. I probably should look it up, but I know it is out there because I've heard multiple, like paleo or keto, top influencers or whatever talking about the study. So anyway, I'm not sure what they were originally eating. I'm sure it was a native diet, but the main point is that they found no differences in stomach bacteria when they were eating all of that processed shit compared to their normal diet. That's pretty astounding. And again, people within medical community, people that look at straight biochemistry, will throw their arms up. What the hell is this? How is this even possible? Why is there no changes in the bacteria in their gut? I can't imagine how that's possible. And this is another topic for yet another day. But it's an example of how quantum effects matter far more than biochemical ones. Sure, food, like the the normal fiber and the what do you call it? Well, the different kinds of fiber, whether it's actually greens or if it's onions or garlic. I can't remember the difference in fiber. Those can definitely have a big impact on your stomach bacteria. But the environment will always dominate, especially when it comes to like sunlight. But interestingly, there was a different study I had found when I was doing deep research on cold exposure. And this study had found that cold was able to control what types of bacteria can live in the gut. I mean, who in the biochemical world would think of that? Never. I can almost guarantee. So, anyways, I guess I'll wrap things up now. So, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. If you have any questions or comments, please find me on my Instagram account at Real Quantum Fit, my personal Facebook page, Taylor Kelson, or you could also send me a voice message on Anchor if you have the Anchor app and you're listening to me on that. See ya!